What if kindness is not a remote control? Welcome to this explainer from Make Wis Real Lab. Today, we're diving into something I like to call clean generosity. You know that feeling when you do something nice for someone and it just leaves you feeling completely drained? Or maybe you got frustrated because your kind gesture didn't get the exact reaction you were banking on. Well, you are in exactly the right place. We're going to look at how shifting our mindset and letting go of those invisible expectations can completely transform our connections.
It's a super tempting thought, isn't it? We kind of harbor this subtle fantasy that if we just press the right buttons, say the perfect encouraging word, or buy the absolute most thoughtful gift, we can somehow operate another person's inner weather from our own little control room. We want them to be happy, so we do something nice, and boom, we expect joy to immediately broadcast on their channel. But, as we all know, human beings are literally infinitely more complex than a television set.
So let's look at where we usually get tripped up. Think about offering a friend a warm dinner. It can be a genuine, totally free invitation, or it can secretly become an invoice. Now look, most of us definitely don't set out to manipulate the people we love. We just want to be a loyal friend or a good partner. But there's this hidden trap in being nice, right? A subtle contract sneaks in. We think, hey, I did this kindly, so you should feel grateful. Or, I gave you something lovely, so you need to glow in the exact shade I imagined. When we do that, we aren't actually giving a gift. We're handing over an emotional bill.
And that brings us to what we call the hidden emotional receipt. Now, don't get me wrong, it's perfectly normal to want appreciation. Appreciation is a very sweet thing. But the problem really kicks in when that appreciation becomes a requirement. When we attach a secret demand to a favor, the gift actually stops being a gift. It turns into this tiny emotional fishing line. And if the other person doesn't bite, maybe they're just tired, or distracted, or carrying some private sorrow we don't know about. We feel cheated. We start harboring resentment over a receipt they literally didn't even know they were handed.
So, how do we cut that fishing line? We can adopt a really powerful two-part mindset. First up, let them. Their reaction, their gratitude, even their disappointment, that interpretation belongs entirely to them. It's a product of their history, their current mood, their whole private universe. And then comes the absolutely crucial second half. Let me. Let me decide what kind of person I want to be. I choose kindness, friendship, hospitality, love, and healthy boundaries, simply because those are my values. And hey, this isn't emotional laziness or passive resignation, it's emotional adulthood. To really get why this feels so clarifying, let's ground it in some science. Specifically, self-determination theory, which comes from psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan. They found that human well-being requires three main things: competence, relatedness, and autonomy. Let's zoom in on autonomy. When we help someone autonomously, meaning we say, I choose to be kind because kindness is mine, instead of I'm being kind to purchase your good mood, the whole act just becomes so much cleaner. In fact, research shows that this kind of autonomous helping profoundly nourishes both the giver and the recipient. It just feels way better for everyone involved.
The flip side is what happens when we lack that autonomy. When our self-worth becomes what researcher Jennifer Crocker calls approval contingent, we basically turn every single facial expression into a crashing stock market. Suddenly, a delayed thank you text feels like a full-blown economic recession. A lukewarm response, that's a corporate crisis. The let me approach gently relocates our self-worth. Instead of saying, I'm only good if you're pleased, it says, I'm living as a generous person, evaluating my own actions with humility.
This leads perfectly into a really beautiful visual metaphor from Crocker's later work with Amy Kinovello. Imagine compassionate goals as a wonderfully spacious room. You're genuinely asking, how can I support your good? Now contrast that with self-image goals. That's a room crowded with mirrors, where the real question you're asking is, how can I make sure I look supportive? Outwardly, both might look exactly the same, bringing a friend dinner, sending an encouraging text, but internally, they are worlds apart. People can always feel the difference between authentic love and a well-rehearsed performance. Let them helps us put down the mirrors, so let me can step into that spacious room.
Okay, so how do we actually practice this in our daily lives? Here is a highly practical, chalkboard simple tool for you, the 10-second pause. Right before your next generous act, just pause and ask yourself 4 quick questions. 1. Is this mine to offer? Because remember, not everything loving has to be done by you. 2. Can I offer it without requiring a reaction? If not, maybe you need honesty right now more than you need generosity. 3. What value am I practicing? Is it hospitality, patience? And 4. What boundary protects this gift? Because a gift given way beyond your capacity almost always comes back later dressed up as resentment.
Releasing our grip on how other people react isn't a smaller, colder kind of love. It's actually a cleaner love. It protects both of you. The recipient is free to have their own honest inner life, and you are totally free to live from your chosen values without turning every single relationship into a customer satisfaction survey. So, the next time you offer a warm dinner or a piece of advice, ask yourself, are you handing over an invitation or are you secretly slipping an invoice under the plate? Because true freedom sounds like this. Let them be human over there. Let me be human over here. Between us, there may be enough room for real friendship. Thanks for joining this explainer, and we'll see you next time.